evening, keepers of the cash. Gary B, the casual comic guy here, and joining me just like every Tuesday, we got my good buddy Steve the Voice White. Steve, how you doing tonight, sir?
G'day.
And of course, joining us for this special show, we also got our good friend Anachronic Comics. Joe, how are you this evening, sir?
I'm doing great. Down here in Florida, it is balmy 49 degrees. Loving it.
You can keep it down there. Too hot. Oh.
Our guest of honor tonight, of course, he had to be the one I asked to do this show. We have none other than Mark Andrews. Mark, thank you for coming on and doing this show with us tonight.
Good to be here. Thanks for asking me, Gary, and hopefully we'll show some interesting stuff.
I'm sure you will. But for those of you who are joining us, this is our Veterans Day comic cover special. Mark's going to give a little bit of history as well. But we are here to honor those who have fought for our freedom and why we enjoy the liberties that we had today. I'm going to share something I got from X11Bravo today, who is just a great resource for all you veterans out there and just anyone in general. You're going to want to follow him on Instagram, and I have his link in the description below, as well as a bunch of other stuff that he gave me to share with the community. But right now, we have a couple slides here that I put together with information he sent, the graphic on the left. So this is, and let's make this let's see if we can make that bigger. The slide, that's slide one we have there. And we're going to expand that because right now it's important that you guys have this information. All right, so there's slide one with some information from X11Bravo on Instagram. Just a great person, excellent human being, and an incredible resource for any veterans out there. And next up, here is our other slide. And you can pause this video, look at all this information, write it down, read it, do what you got to do. It is also in the description below, thanks to our buddy, X11Bravo. And I just want to give a special thanks to him. He's always there, always helpful, and always lends a hand. A very selfless, very great individual. And we are also going to hand this over to Anachronic Comics for a second. Because Joe also on his channel, I got to add us back in. Joe also on his channel does Tunnels of Tower. And I have got to get us back into the correct format here because this is just messing us up.
StreamYard loves to change things.
It does. It changes stuff on me all the time.
Yep.
And
engineers just love that crap.
They do. And now it's just me, which is no good for anybody.
Incoming message from a big giant head.
Right? So this is what happens when StreamYard messes with stuff.
Gary. You're getting dizzy.
Stop it, man.
I know, right?
Where I am.
Okay,
there we go.
I'm over here.
Finally, StreamYard's working. But we're going to make Joe big here for a second. We're going to let Joe talk about his Tunnels to Tower and what he does on his channel. Joe, stage is yours.
Thanks a lot, Gary. For a number of years, I was giving out money to different charities, and I realized that you really can't support everything. So I started investigating, and I came up with a couple of charities. One you probably know is St. Jude's Research Hospital for Children with Cancer, fantastic organization. But the other that I started to give money to and started focusing in on was Tunnel to Towers Foundation. And so members to my channel, either at $1.99 a month or $3.99 a month, I collect all that money. And once I get paid from YouTube, I direct that money to Tunnel to Towers and St. Jude's. Now, why Tunnel to Towers? It's a fantastic organization. It was started by the brother of one of the firemen that passed away on 9/11. And the essence of it was not to forget what happened in 9/11. And his brother's story is amazing. He was a fireman. He was off duty, lived over in Brooklyn. He was already on the Brooklyn side. Once the towers were hit, everything closed down, including the tunnel. What he did was, because he felt that he needed to get back to help out, is he ran through the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel back to downtown Manhattan. And unfortunately, he passed away on that day when the towers collapsed. That's why it's Tunnel to Towers. It's named after his brother. Now, what do? They do a lot of different things, but with respect to veterans and to Gold Star families, those are families of individuals who have died in action. They do a lot. One thing to do right away with respect to Gold Star families is if that family, whether it's a husband or a wife, has small children, they will pay off the mortgage on their existing home. And you can't, when you see the videos and you see what happens, you can't imagine, I certainly cannot imagine what a great relief that is. But you could see it in their faces when they say that. They said, I was always wondering, how am I going to pay? What am I going to do? And this guy comes over and says, we're paying off your mortgage. All right. So that money goes to that. Second thing they do, if one of our great warrior soldiers comes back in some way, maimed, hurt, whatever it happens to be, the life that they're living is difficult in a normal home. All right. Because just of the nature of the way the homes are, and if they're in a wheelchair or what have you. So what they do is they build these homes that are made specially for these soldiers who are injured in wheelchairs or what have you. So that they have these showers where they can be rolled in. They have their kitchens has all these cabinets where they just pull and the stuff comes right down to them. It's just amazing when you see the work that they do. So they build these homes for them. Matter of fact, somebody gave them some land in Land O'Lakes, Florida, and they're building what they're calling the Do Good Village. Slowly but surely, as they get money, they're building homes in here. They're going to build 100 of them. So there's going to be all of these great warriors and their families living here in this one organization. And the other thing that they are doing, it's relatively new, and this is just such a fantastic thing that this organization is doing. They've gone ahead and they have bought, I guess they're hotels, like a Holiday Inn or whatever, that have gone out of business. They have found these places. They've got 2 of them so far. When I tell you what they're doing, you can see how difficult this is, how much money it takes, and how important it is. They've refashioned these hotels into 1-bedroom or studio apartments for soldiers that have come back and that are homeless. He has said, the head of it has said, we're going to eradicate the homelessness of our veterans. And what they do is not just give them that, but on the first floor, they have all the support stuff. They have doctors, they have psychologists, all the stuff to support them and help them readjust and be able to succeed and be part of a community and organization. So I'm proud to give my money to that organization. And I'm proud of my channel members who provide, just a small amount of money, give up 1 comic book, and give me the money so that I can give it over as part of what Tunnel to Towers Foundation does, which is fantastic. Thanks, Gary. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and what you guys should know, though, what Joe says, he gives 100% of the money.
Yeah, 100%. So, I match it. I don't tell people that much, but basically, when I send them $100 or whatever, I throw another 100 at myself.
There you go. Excellent. Just always a great community person, Joe. We appreciate you, sir.
Thank you, Gary.
All right, and now for Mr. Mark Andrews. And again, guys, just real quick, the links, all these organizations that can help veterans that X11Bravo provided me today, everything's in the description below. Go check it out after we're done this show. And you can go back to the beginning, check out the couple graphics we put up and get it that way as well. Put it on your big screen. That way you can read it. But Mark, when I wanted to do this show, you were the easy choice for me. 1, you're knowledgeable. 2, you're someone I have great respect for in the community. And you got a museum behind you, sir. So
Mark, that was so nice what he was saying. I couldn't interrupt with some sort of a quip. I had to be quiet.
Yeah.
But Mark, you said it was a great task for you to pick these out tonight.
It has been trying to make sure I get the right ones. And so, yeah, this is, so I just want to remember all those that served across the world, whether you mark today as Veterans Day in the States, Remembrance Day in Canada, Armistice Day in England and Europe, and all over the world. November 11th is a day that we need to mark and remember, because we get the freedoms and we can do this incredible hobby and read the stuff we read, and we're not restricted to it because of the men and women who sacrificed the ultimate sacrifice. And it's hopefully I will show you some things that are pretty unique. Before I get going too far, I just want to dedicate this show to, this is my great uncle, Richard Obadiah Craven. He was killed on the 15th of September 1916 when the Princess Patricia's Light Infantry were supporting the introduction of tanks for the very first time in the world, in history. And he disappeared, and he's on the Vimy Memorial in France, and I've been able to see his name carved in the stone there. And I always think about him today, and this is to him.
Cheers.
Great dedication, Mark.
When were comics first came out, right? 1930s. Then we first started to see published comics. So a lot of stuff was happening before that. So I kind of was thinking, okay, we need to kind of look at a couple, not very many, just one. So how many, I don't know if any of you guys have ever heard of Punch, the magazine from England.
Yeah.
It was in all kinds of issues. It came out monthly, and every 6 months they would take the issues and they would sell them in a bound copy.
Oh, wow. Look at
So
that.
this is Punch magazine from 1915-ish, volume 2. So you didn't have a comic then, so you had things like Punch's holiday papers. And inside here, especially this is World War I, as you can imagine, there's cartoons and comics, most of it satirical, about the war, about what was going on in the trenches and whatnot. And what's really, really special to me in this volume, this is in 1915, in this issue of December 8th, 1915. If you can see it here, that is the first printed hardcover issue of In Flanders Fields.
Really? Wow.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very
So that's was your comics in 1915. And Punch got sent to the trenches, and they got sent overseas. And In Flanders Fields was sent into Punch anonymously. They put it in the issue in December of 1915, and then they realized, wait, there is someone they accounted it to the proper author. So
Nice.
comics then started to get closer to, and a lot of stuff was going on. So all the way through World War I, all kinds of things are happening. People recovered from it. There was some hope, but we still didn't really get into comics. But we
Mark,
saw
I
a
have
lot
one
of these.
sec.
What's that?
I just want 1 second. For those of you in the audience, if you want to remember somebody and honor them, you can do like Chuck Hensey here, put their name in there and
Nice.
put a little remembrance of them, and we will post it up here in remembrance of them and their duty and their service.
Nice. Very nice.
I'm sorry, Mark. I did not mean to interrupt you.
Oh, you can. It's okay. It's your show, Gary. Like, you do whatever. So in 1933, you saw things like this, right? Sky fighters in the pulps.
Wow.
So those are World War I fighters, and they all had all kinds of cool stories. This is from Famous Funnies, actually. This was one of their books before they came out with a comic book.
Oh, wow.
15 cents. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
15 cents.
Very expensive.
Yeah, 1933. Sky Fighters by George Bruce. And there's lots of illustrations and stuff in here. But then, of course, we know we started to get finally into comics. And war comics, I don't know how many hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of titles over the years of war. Like, it was an easy thing to write about, but not really easy. But when they first started doing comics, a lot of them were about the glory of war and not really some of the truth, but celebrating heroes and whatnot. And you saw, like in this one, and this is 1940, there was only 2 issues of this book. This is the Sky Blazers.
Holy cow.
So this is Holly Publications. And sadly, it only lasted for 2 publications. The
hell of a
artwork
cover.
is the cover is awesome.
Yeah,
It is.
that's amazing.
I love it.
Awful lot of room in that bomber.
Yeah, that's yeah. Either that or
Amazing cover.
a very tiny person, Gary, that was running that machine gun.
Yeah, big time. If you've ever actually seen those aircraft, there isn't that much room in there.
So when World War II started, there was all sorts of restrictions. And what's kind of interesting, and particularly in this particular issue, this is War Heroes #1 from June 30th, 1942.
Oh,
Where we're,
Oh,
Seen that
wow.
one before.
very nice.
That
we're
is a very
celebrating-
classy cover.
Yeah, it's a classic cover, General Douglas MacArthur. So you have to think, okay, this is 1942, things in June. United States has only been at war for not quite 7 months. And things aren't going really well for the Allies still yet at that point. There was only 10 issues of this. But what's really interesting in this one is, and I don't know if I can get to it real quick. Anyways, even within this comic book, there's a page dedicated to recycling paper. And that's why you don't find as many comics from this era. Is not a lot of them survived because they were being recycled. The comic books themselves were trying to get people to recycle them.
Right.
The other thing is, on a lot of the comics from this time period, they said right on some of the issues, if this issue is dropped in the mail, it will be sent to the front. It'll be sent to the soldiers overseas for once you've finished reading it, treat it nicely, drop it off. There would be a mailing address, and they would send it free of charge to the soldiers serving
Very
overseas.
nice. Yeah.
So what's kind of neat about this one, and I really liked it, is it's General Douglas MacArthur, thrilling heroic facts from the files of the U.S. Army, Navy, Marine Corps, and the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which that's what caught my eye when I was looking at this, was it also had a connection to Canada. So in 1943, and you'll hear the name Alex Schomburg a lot. A lot of people would recognize his name as an artist. This one is from 1943, volume 5, issue #2. This is Real Life Picture Magazine.
Oh, wow.
That's cool.
Nice. That's really nice.
Yeah, the Water Wasps. And it's Patton, Montgomery, Tolstoy, and Newton, which is an interesting collection of people.
Right?
Is wild.
Yeah.
Why Newton?
Maybe
to do with
because they were
physics.
hoping that some parents would tell their kid, no, there's science in here.
There's science to
I
blowing
don't
things
know.
up.
It's
Surprisingly, a lot of metallurgy came out of the wars.
yes, a lot. Now, one of the things, the comics of this era were propaganda. Like there's no ifs, that's what was going on, right?
Yeah.
And also, I'm about to show something that is completely inappropriate for today and completely inappropriate like 20, 30 years ago. But remember the time when this was printed. We were all at war with the Axis powers, which was Germany, Italy, and Japan. So Japan was a adversary in World War II. So remember, this is from 1943. So on the back of this, and you will see it, this is the new Commando machine gun made from non-World War essential, but
Safe
it's the
and
name of
harmless.
the machine gun down here by my hand here that just shocks you if you can read that.
You can read it up at the top too, in between the
Yeah,
Commando and the machine
yeah.
gun.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's the Cracker-Jap machine gun. These comic books, when you read them, the characterization of people is horrible. They definitely vilified the enemy, and that's what
they did that on the other side too. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely they did. And sadly, I've never been able to find any books similar from the Axis powers to see what they looked like. But yeah, these were pure propaganda, to the point where there were many books in World War II that the Canadian government wouldn't allow from the United States into Canada. And also they didn't want Canadian dollars going out to buy books that were non-essential war materials. That's where we get into the Canadian whites because of that case. But what's interesting is many of these, they give a Canadian price too.
Oh, wow.
So the American publishers are still pushing books to be bought across the border, but Canada Customs was trying to stop it because they didn't want money flowing out of the country. And they were really into nonfiction stories in those days for comic books. Now there was all kinds of, yes, the heroes and the Captain Americas and the Submarine and all that stuff, but I've really focused in on more that were focused in on the war. So this is from Parents Press magazine. There was 84 issues of this. It went from 1941 to 1950. And this is, you might recognize it, True Comics.
Nice. Yep.
Right.
Oh, wow.
So again, here, Canada's Sub Hunters, which if you know some of the true nature of the war, this story that is about Canada's Sub Hunters is a little bit exaggerated. Because while it shows we're flying a 4-engine seaplane, we didn't. We flew Liberators and we flew Martins and we flew on the shore, on the sub hunting along the St. Lawrence, and most of it was done with corvettes and whatnot. But the other story up here is Lieutenant Governor or General Ira Ecker from the American stories here. But they're really cool stories. They're not negative. They are definitely trying to promote the war to be fought vigilantly against the Axis.
You know, Mark, one of the things that people don't understand, and I'm not sure if you're going to get up to like the Silver Age and so forth, but for these people at that time, this was real.
Yeah.
You know? And we even see today, some people don't even remember like 9/11 or other things like that,
Yeah.
you know, which we remember. But for World War II, and when I grew up in the 50s and the early 60s, before I went off to college, my father was a prisoner of war in Germany for 2 years, and a lot of his friends didn't survive. He was lucky he did. You know, I mean, so for these people, you know, my dad wouldn't talk about this stuff. I finally got him to talk a little bit about it. You know, I eked it out of him. But, you know, for these people, this stuff was real. And so I understand it was propaganda and everything that's there, but
you're right. It's true. They were living it. I agree. Like I had uncles. I had one uncle, my Uncle Harold, he served in World War I and survived the war because he lied about his age. And he was 15, and they didn't discover that till he got to England. So they put him on a forestry battalion. And if you cut enough wood, you were given time off to go into the city. Oh. Well, he brought back a lovely young lady by the name of Grace with a lovely English accent, and they had 4 daughters. But he cut lots of wood. You know, I had uncles and relatives that served in World War II. They didn't talk much about it at all. Yeah. And it was very real to them.
That's funny, Mark, because my grandfather was the same thing in World War I. He was too young, and the same thing. He went through basic training, went over to England, and then they found out he was underage and then sent him home.
Well, yeah. And I don't know why they didn't send my uncle home. I think it's because he got into training and stuff, and he was an old soul and got so far along that they went, eh.
Yeah,
and
fine. He wants to fight.
Yeah, they handed him an axe. So I'm now going to jump a bit. We're up into 1952. And you start to see these kind of comics. Heroic comics.
Heroic.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Great comic series. Yeah.
Great comic series. Now, this one is a story about the Korean War. So the comics that were coming out as, just to Joe's point, it was real. It was happening. They're existing through that, right? So this is a Famous Funnies publication.
Right. Yeah. Obviously, a great reflection of the time period that you're living through.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Herein are the stories of true heroic men and women chosen by this publication for their daring actions and hazardous tasks from the famous funny publications. Now every month. This one's another 10-cent one.
Cool.
You didn't see me do that.
Yeah, it's fine. It's in a
But
bag.
again,
It's a great cover too, though. It's a really
it
good
is
cover.
a great cover. It is a great cover. Now, I meant to bring this over. I showed this at one of Gary's other shows, but see that machine gun there?
Yeah.
That's the one that you could order in this comic book that shot little actual bullets.
Wow.
And Mark, you don't have that?
Well,
Come on.
He does. He's gonna go bring
I
it.
knew it.
You know it's in the museum, Joe.
I knew it was there somewhere.
Gary's getting canceled. He's bringing firearms.
He's getting it out of the glass case right now and away from the lasers.
Oh, there it is. Oh, I remember those things as a kid. Yeah.
He showed this before.
So yes, I do have it. Anyway, moving right
That's why I
along.
mentioned it, Gary, because I knew he had it.
Right.
I wasn't sure he had it
That's
handy, though.
I have everything's handy here, Joe. So it's staying in 1952. Fables Publishing, they did. Marie Severin did this. Ben Oda and John Severin. There's 41 issues, Two-Fisted Tales.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, nice.
Goodness. Yes.
How nice that is.
Now it's interesting. They're starting to creep away a little bit from World War II. Not as much about Korea because it's ongoing, and they're even going further back because this is the situation in India when there was a rebellion in India against the English army.
Yeah.
So again,
Two talented artists right there, Marie and John,
very
brother and
talented.
sister.
So as another talented artist from 1952 is G.I. Joe Ziff Davis.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Oh wow.
Again, this is Korea that they refer to in G.I. Joe.
But what a perspective angle on that.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Help the telephone pole.
Yep. And then because Classic Illustrated didn't want to be left out, and also because it is an incredible story, particularly because it tells a story now in 1952, you're starting to tell the story. Some of the stories from the other side this is the first printing of All Quiet on the Western Front,
Ooh.
1952, which was a very discussed book when it came out because it was telling the story of World War I from the other side.
Right.
And as we do this history that I'm showing, you'll start to see that creep in, particularly in one publisher of comic books. They did it more than others.
So, Mark, I got to say something about that first, about that comic book first.
Sure.
I had to read All Quiet on the Western Front as one of my summer reading books when I was in high school, And then when I went to the bookstore where they had the older comic books, I saw the comic book there. I said, damn, I could have read the comic book instead of reading that book last summer.
Cole's Notes. Classic Illustrated was the original Cole's Notes. If you could find that, you didn't have to read the whole book.
Yeah, because they were pretty accurate with their stories.
They were very accurate. They're very true to the story. So this is 1953, issue 43, by again Mary Severin and Jack Davis did the cover.
Yes.
Wow.
More wonderful EC.
Yeah. So War and Fighting Men, which is kind of sexist, but I am a sucker for airplane covers, as you can see by some of the stuff that's behind me. But this one is just amazing. This one's a story about a French ace, true person who he did exist, and he walked away from two different crashes unscathed. And then one day on a flight, he just went up and disappeared.
Wow. And again, another incredible perspective cover.
Oh, it is an amazing, that's cool. And it's like got the grayscale, but not.
Right.
Like it is just amazing. And it just pounds, like these covers really, a lot of them speak to you and want you to read the story
Hmm.
and drag you in.
That
And-
whole crew at EC were very good with that, and Harvey took such time and care into each one of those stories to make sure they were perfect and accurate.
Absolutely, they were, and they did. They're great. If you get a chance to read them, a lot of them are reprinted. You can find them in reprints. You can find them in graphics, and read them because they're great stories. And they're as accurate as can be with a little bit of poetic license, but not a lot. But it's pretty cool. And
It drove Bill Gaines crazy too, because he wanted to put out books quickly, and Harvey was taking so damn long trying to make sure he researched this perfectly.
And they put out a lot. So Carlton wanted to make sure they stayed involved in that. So in 1953, they were doing all the fighting Marines, fighting Navy,
fighting Army.
Navy.
Yeah.
And because I've showed a little bit of the Navy. This is an issue from 1953, issue 43. It's a 100 pager.
Oof.
Oh,
Nice.
nice.
Yeah.
Got your money's worth out of that one.
Yeah,
Right.
and again, this is like 25 cents in 1953. That's a lot of money.
That's pricey. That's magazine price.
This was a pricey book. It's square bound, but again, it's got super cool stories. It's a lot of short stories, and definitely if you see. And what's interesting, Gary, is a lot of these are not that expensive. Like a lot of these books, if you look or ask, you'll find them because they're not.
And that amazes me, Mark, too, because when I had a couple of shows where I showed the war comics that I had, like Sergeant Rock and Flying Ace and things like that. And I remember someone commenting on that, indicating that, oh yeah, they never really think about those, as comic books and stuff like that. And I found that a lot when speaking or asking other people, that's not on their radar.
No.
Some people, yes, but most people don't really care about it. And the sad thing about it is, as Gary had said, is basically a snapshot of what was going on, whether it was concurrent, with the actual, fighting a war, or whether it was a throwback to it. Now, some of them were taking some liberty, with it, like weird war tales or whatever, that type of thing.
Yeah.
But the ones when you had even like a Sergeant Rock, I'll never forget this one story. I'm sorry, I should let you go on with your thing, but this one story that really sold me on it was a story in Sergeant Rock and EasyCo where their guns were talking and explaining what was going on and what they were doing and stuff like that. It was just an amazing perspective, which I never really thought about, because it really was what was going on in the war, but it was the actual rifles and the M1s and the automatic rifles, BARs and so forth.
There was
they were
a lot
talking to each other saying, oh, this is going on. And it just, that type of stuff, and that was like Joe Kubert, who had spent time, in the war, had done a lot of that. I mean, that was so realistic and so real. And it wasn't about shooting or killing. It was more about what was going on in the people's minds, in the soldiers' minds, the psychology of it, and growing up with these people that had fought in the war, to me, it was just such an automatic thing to glom onto.
Absolutely. And I got a couple of examples of exactly what you're talking about, because what you find as you go through the history of these books, you start to see the stories change. Like the stories in the 40s books and the 50s books, they're telling the story, but they're not going into the psychology. They're not going into like we're just starting to see it, like with the All Quiet on the Western Front. So 1955, Russ Heath did this cover. There were 25 issues to this. This is Marines Battle.
Wow.
What a great cover.
Yeah.
Yep. And again, there's a lot of things in this book, even in 1955, of the psychology that's going on with these soldiers.
Wasn't the 12 gauge banned? Wasn't that a Geneva Convention thing?
Yeah. you start to see just woven very slowly through the stories, more psychology and more of the pain and more of the price that these soldiers were paying to do what they're doing. And when you start to read through these, you start to see a bit more of that and a bit more of what Joe is talking about. I just have to show these just because I just love these. These are George Evans covers with, again, Maurice Severin, Jack Davis, Wally Wood, others. This is from 1955 and this is issue 3 and 4 of Aces High. Again.
Oh, wow.
Just
very nice.
Sorry about the glare. The artwork and the covers and the stories are just amazing. Like, just
look at that Comic Code Authority right in the corner.
Yep.
Looks larger than usual.
Yeah, that's when I started. It was big like that.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, they were really big to prove that they were, especially the EC books, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
EC got hit hard.
They got hit hard, so they made those Comic Book Authority as big as they could.
Those are nice covers.
It really started to take away some of the, when you read those 1940 books, some of those books are pretty graphic to a degree about what happened. They really are watering it down. They're doing more things happening off panel out of that kind of stuff.
Yeah, suggestive.
So we get into 1958. Again, Carlton did 113 issues of Fighting Navy.
Wow.
It's a lot.
Man,
but
what
again,
a great cover that is too. Look at that.
Isn't that a great cover?
Yeah.
ENT, high explosives.
Yep.
But just you see the terror on the dude's face as well.
Oh yeah. Like it's an awesome cover. Again, these are not expensive books. The only problem of trying to find these books are they're beat to death.
Oh, they're beat to hell, yeah.
What's really sad for me about war books and commemorating the people who fought wars and lived and died and gave us our freedom, their comic books are not respected at all. Like, I hope that's going to change somewhat. But these, you can see the terror on that man's face.
Right.
So in 1964, Dell started to get into it. So they started doing air war stories.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Is that a painted cover?
That's a painted cover. It's gorgeous. That's a Sam Glasman cover.
Very nice.
You know, and just to see like some of these artists, from the Hero Mags, just do such detailed work on the war covers is amazing.
Like you can almost hear those planes flying.
The Red Baron.
When you're watching those.
Yeah.
Think of Snoopy right away.
Yeah. They did 31 issues of the World War series. This is 1965. That's number 1. Again, Sam Glasman did this cover.
Wow. Those painted covers. I love them.
And what's really quite good is they're pretty close to the story within, like, Victory on the Marne. Like they're covering off, it was the French and the Commonwealth and the Germans and the Ottoman Hungary Empire, whatnot. The artwork inside those showing the actual soldiers and stuff are pretty amazing. 1965, 15th of January. Again, Sam Glasman. Dunkirk.
Yes.
Look at that.
Wow. I remember that book.
Great cover.
Yeah.
So Dunkirk, the movie, just came out, 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was really well done.
Yeah.
Super well done. And it's, again, they talked about the miracle of Dunkirk for years. One of my relatives talked about the miracle of Dunkirk because I never knew how he was connected to it, but he talked about it. And it goes back to what Joe was saying.
He wasn't there, was he?
He might have been. They didn't talk about this stuff.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Yeah,
little snippets of it. And I wish, and I didn't want to know the stories because I couldn't wait to hear the blood and guts. It's because I wanted to hear the story.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
the history of it.
But it was probably just too painful for them to have to bring it up and remember it all. Just all your friends around you dying and just,
You know, I read
Oh.
a story. Yeah, I read a story, Gary, about this woman who wanted her father to tell her about his experience in World War II, and it was just like I forget if it was just a very short thing that she written, and finally the father was pretty much on his deathbed, and said, "Okay, you want to know what I know, what I went through? You're going to have to live with it." And she wanted to know what it was. And so he spent a lot of his like final days telling her all the stories. And she now wishes that he never did.
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah.
But well, and because yeah, it's you didn't
It's
have
horror.
she didn't have time to process it, and it was horrific stuff.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So this one is 1965. Again, World War stories. This is the first time gas was used, and that was in the Ypres salient. And
Wow.
the Canadian troops in this one held the line. They were the only Allied troops that held their section, and then also filled in where some colonial troops beside them fell back. They peed in their handkerchiefs, and they withstood the first mustard gas attack.
Wow.
And it cost them. But there is an amazing memorial to this battle in France, if you ever get a chance to go see it. That is just, it's huge, this big monolith on the top with a Canadian soldier just with his head down. And it's just, the monolith turns into his shoulders. It's an amazing monument. And when you're standing there, it's one of those throat clenching spots. But again, it's
What's been great about these this last group that you've been showing is they're all very respectful covers. They're not glorifying, they're not demonizing. They're like, these guys, you know, they're living through this.
Yeah. And that's, you see that there's the difference, right? Earlier on, there's a lot of glory because also some of those earlier books, they're still fighting. They need people engaged. They need people not to see. They're about to be
The horrific part of it. They wanted to see the glory of it all.
They want to see them the glory. Sign up. And inside there's even one of those books from the 40s is a full page ad with Boy Scouts encouraging their parents to go and vote and make sure that they enlist. Like it, as I said, they're propaganda books. They are propaganda books.
Right.
So in the 60s, things kind of changed.
Just a little bit.
Especially, it's interesting. So this one is 1966. This is from this is a book 3 of a series of 3. The cover I love. The stories are probably some of the most interesting stories. And if you get a chance to even read the reprints.
Nice.
So Blazing Combat, put out by Warren Magazine. Warren was threatened because they said he was unpatriotic and un-American. And they sent bundles of these books back unsold. So you have to think about the era. This is 1966.
Yeah, the anti-war movement because of Vietnam was
huge
throughout everything. I mean, I lived through all that stuff, and it was.
Yep. Now, did you remember these books coming out, Joe?
I don't remember that specific one, you know, but a lot of it, and in the States, you know, then they put in the lottery thing and so forth.
Yep.
I mean, there was all this stuff going on, and we just kind of knew that it wasn't going well. And we had friends that went to war and even didn't come back, or when they came back, they were not the same.
They were not the same.
I mean, it was there was not enough even knowledge, even though it was reported, quote unquote, every night. It was more like, what are the numbers of dead? And I mean, you didn't really know what was going on there, and what was the final, you know, approach, what were we looking to do. I mean, we would see things going on, and we're saying, well, why don't they attack the North? Why don't they do this? I mean, we don't understand. You had 500,000 troops there, for Pete's sakes. 500,000, and you can't beat these people. You know, I mean, to me, it was like we weren't trying really. So I'm saying, what's the purpose? What are we doing? And so that was reflected not just in the comics, but in other literature as well.
It was reflected everywhere. I remember like turning on the well, I didn't turn it on, but my parents turning on the nightly news, and we would get the news jumping across from Lake Erie, Pennsylvania, and you would see all this stuff and go, wow.
It was a televised war.
It was a televised war. And also we had some people that were coming across and relocating from the States and whatnot. But it's interesting. There was a fourth issue that was never sent out. Warren they lost. The story is he was willing to accept $2,000 a loss on a book on each, first book. Like he loses $2,000 on issue 1, issue 2, issue 3. He could handle it, but he lost something like $6,000 on this issue.
Oh, wow.
He couldn't sustain it.
Right.
So that was the end of this. So all 3 covers of this is done by Frank Frazetta. And if you get a chance, like these have been reprinted. This is mine are the original copies, but I'm showing this one because of the content is the Vietnam War and an American GI standing on a pile of bodies. Very anti-war, and they try to give they try to show the American soldier with some dignity, but it just doesn't sell. It doesn't go well, and it doesn't go well for the soldiers and the whole spirit of this. These 3 books really reflect, in my way of thinking, what was going on down in the States during this time frame.
And Mark, I hate to keep on interrupting, but having lived through this stuff, it's kind of hard not to. But one of the things that was problematic, and look, I was kind of an anti-war guy at that point. I mean, I was involved in college and some of that stuff that was there for the reasons that I'd mentioned just before. But in retrospect and looking back, part of the problem with that book and some of the others is think back to the other ones that you showed and you said that it was propaganda. The point is, if you are involved in a war at that point in time and you come up with anti-war stuff, it is problematic.
Very, yes.
I didn't understand that at the time, but again, I look at Vietnam as being something a little bit different, because of the nature of the way it developed, and so forth. And we won't get into all of that, but so that's problematic. If you're involved in a war or a situation at that point in time, you don't want people necessarily to come out and somehow undercut the effort.
Well, those books were undermining what they were trying to do. And again, building that anti-war effort for those soldiers. You were doing conscription by that point. You had to go.
Yeah.
And there was, how do you show support for your loved ones that have gone to war for your country when you see that? So
when we talk offline next time, I'll tell you my story.
I will look forward to that. So 1972. Dell is still doing combat. They're doing War Stories Combat. So this is D-Day Invasion. I don't mind this book at all. Again, the cover is amazing. And guess who did this? Sam Glasman did this cover. What's interesting, and you have to take into consideration, Dell is an American company. It's an American publisher. Most of the books are bought in the United States. The rest of the allies who landed on D-Day, like the Canadians who had their own beach, get 2 panels.
Oh, geez.
And there was some French and British and Poles and a bunch of other people who landed. But again, it's the same as, and I do smile when I read this book because I said, no, we should be in here somewhere. Oh, there we are. That was nice.
Right. Our cameo.
We did a cameo.
Canadian cameo.
Good read. Now, this will make Joe happy because this is 1971. It's a little out of order. There you go. Star Spangled War.
Yep.
These were really cool books. And this one is cowards, yellow bellies come back and fight like soldiers. What makes the GI finally quit and refuse to fight? And this is relating back. This is World War II stories. And the unknown soldier against, you know who did the artwork on this, Joe?
Kubert.
Yep. Kubert.
Yeah, the eyes on the unknown soldier on that
Yeah,
one.
the eyes are amazing.
Like so much is said just with that glare.
Yeah, Kubert drew these so well. Just amazing stories. And because I want to do Equal Opportunity 1972, Sergeant Fury Special Edition, they're gone to get Baron Strucker, and they run into Hitler.
Capture Hitler.
Well, it's one of the few times that you saw after the Captain America that Hitler's on the cover. He's not on there very often.
Right.
But there he is. And I always wondered why Sergeant Fury always lost his shirt. It kind of reminded me of Captain Kirk from Star Trek.
Gotta show off them muscles.
Yeah. So Carlton still wanted to stay in it. So they did War 1975.
Yeah. Got a
So-
few of those.
Again, you know, the Stukas, the Spitfires. And again, cover art by Sam Glasman. I
There's a
think he was
stereotype
the
going
only
on there.
guy. Like, he must have bounced all over. 47 issues to this one.
Wow.
Now,
Sold.
The font's kind of weird for that one. The
oh, it is.
trade dress.
The trade dress is not one of my most favorite. Now, this next series that I'm just going to talk about quickly, there's 5 issues. Again, this series caused a lot of concerns, and it caused a lot of people to be very upset. This is 1976. It was done by Joe Kubert and Sam Glasman, and this is Blitzkrieg.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
So,
okay.
Blitzkrieg is about a German patrol in World War II. All 5 issues tell their stories.
That's
And
interesting.
what's really good about this series, in my way of thinking, is the fighting within the platoon of when they're given orders to do stuff. You've
Right.
got arguing about orders are orders, and this is war. He's going to shoot the civilians, and the other guy doesn't want him to do it. And they did, like, this is the Polish ghetto.
Well, like it comes down to the individual's belief.
Yep.
They're there
Wow.
because they're conscripted to be there, but that doesn't mean they have to agree with everything they're being asked to do. Oh my gosh, the eyes on that one.
Oh, that's
Yep.
cool.
This is the face of the enemy.
Hmm.
See,
Yeah,
and these
they-
are the stories you want to see, both sides of the story.
Yep.
Ooh,
She did not want to be caught by the Gestapo.
You'd rather die. Yeah.
Yeah, and this one really hit, like, those are American paratroopers caught up in the trees, and from the German perspective of D-Day.
Yeah.
wow.
That series took a lot of heat from people and only lasted 5 issues. People weren't, and this is like 19. What did I say?
In the 70s now.
76, and people
Yeah.
still weren't comfortable yet
Seeing the other
that
side. Yeah,
and hearing those stories.
because they were vilified.
Yep,
They were evil.
they were evil. So,
Nazis.
1977, DC tries to do something a little bit different. They do Men of War. This is an Ed Davis cover. There's 26 issues of this one, and there's just individual stories. They focus in on Gravedigger and introducing Enemy Ace. Enemy Ace is in this book, but he's not on the cover. This isn't his introductory book. That's a different book that I've shown before. Again, this is another one that DC introduced in 1978. Army at War. Again, Joe Kubert.
Well, I'll say great cover there.
Isn't that a great cover?
I think I have that book.
And then Sergeant Rock. This is issue 2 of a 2-volume set. And this is where we start to see in the war comics. This is dealing with I'm going to say it wrong, Joe, the airmen. That,
The Tuskegee.
Tuskegee.
yeah,
Tuskegee Airmen.
Yeah. And this
Tuskegee.
cover,
Yeah.
he's got chains. He's a winged, they called them the Black Wings.
Yeah.
And this story really is interesting because Sergeant Rock is is saved by them, and he has to fight. It talks about the whole issue of the isolation and the nonsense of racial disharmony in the World War II. It's a great read if you can get both, like the book 1 and 2. It's just this cover really strikes home what the story is about.
Right.
And again, another great Joe Kubert. So I just have a few more books, Gary, before you go to sleep.
No, you're fine, Mark.
What was
this
it?
has been amazing.
Was it Robert Kanigher that wrote those books in the 60s? That I'm trying to remember who the writer was. There was somebody else who also had a lot of war experience, and I can't remember for the life of me
Yeah,
who it was.
You said the name almost.
And I thought it was Robert Kanigher, but I'm not sure. And he teamed up with Joe Kubert in all those war books in the 60s.
A lot of they were the team. He did the drawing and he did the writing.
They both had experience as soldiers in World War II, which made it that much realistic.
You see that in Joe Kubert's books. You really do. There's all sorts of subtle pinning stories that you see, and that's why I really enjoy them. And he was so prolific, Joe Kubert and that team. They were so prolific. They were writing all kinds of stuff. Now we got into this. This is 1986. It's 84 issues from Marvel.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh yeah.
That one.
And this again,
brutal book
and raw nerves. There was a lot of people not happy with this series. This is an excellent series to read.
It is.
And they do not shy away from stuff at all.
Yeah, plus, they had a magazine too.
Yes, they did.
That magazine.
That magazine
where they reprinted the books basically.
So yeah, you can get the 10 issue magazines if you don't want to buy the 80 books. And it's all the issues. This is in black and white, which I know, Gary, you would love.
Right.
So but again,
the comics are color.
There were some really controversial covers. There were some very controversial stories. But I think what's amazing to me is it got people talking. It caused conversation. And I think that's what you want in some of this stuff is we need to talk about this.
Yeah, there was that
Mark,
famous cover.
Weren't some of the writers for that NAM series? I have a few of the books somewhere, but
they were
seem to
veterans.
recall that at least some of them were written by people that actually went there.
Several of the writers they served.
They served,
in Vietnam, and that's, I mean, there's one issue that deals with fragging a commander.
Yes, that
didn't go over well, but it's written from the gut, and it's again talks. You can see as best you can in a comic form the price that was paid by the men and women who went there. And it also deals with when they come home. There's another amazing story about one of them coming home. He's done his tour and he's being spit on and being called a baby killer.
That was the most horrible thing that was happening because it wasn't their fault.
Hammer, yes.
Yep. Yeah, that was on the cover too. Him coming in the airport and they're spitting on him.
And they're spitting on him.
You can also get those in an omnibus.
Oh, okay. I haven't got the omnibus. I just have these.
Yeah. The Punisher came into a couple of those issues too.
So again, and just because I love him.
Fantastic.
Yeah. That's a cool cover.
Sergeant Rock co-starring Enemy Ace. Now it's an interesting story, but I loved Enemy Ace again. Enemy Ace was a DC story talking from a German perspective in World War I. It's a very popular character, very popular comic book because he really shows the humanity. He doesn't like what he's doing. He doesn't like taking young men up and killing each other. It's Von Hammer's a fascinating character, and if you haven't ever seen it, they did this in comic book form as well. I would highly recommend War Ideal. It's by George Pratt, and it's a graphic novel that I do have, but currently it is in my oldest son's library.
What a great cover that is, too.
This is an awesome cover. War Ideal is a graphic novel that has the enemy ace in a retirement home, and he is found by a Vietnam vet who's doing a story on PTSD. It is an amazing read. I can't recommend War Ideal more. If you want to read a book that talks about, and it gives you the perspective from enemy ace from his experiences in World War I and a Vietnam vet. Don't do the math on ages. Just,
Right.
it is a incredible read. I highly recommend it. I wish I had it to show you, but it is one that I think is worth mentioning. Again, how much comics have changed. We have a graphic novel with enemy ace talking about PTSD.
That's cool.
Right.
You would have never seen that before.
Yeah.
So we
So
had Chuck Hensey saying that Garth Ennis did a 2-issue mini with Enemy Ace.
yes, Garth Ennis is I have that too, but I didn't want to be here for 4 hours.
Right.
That's an amazing series. It's a great 2-issue. Garth Ennis, you're going to see his name a little bit now. Not right at the moment. This one I want to show you. This one is from World War I. This was published in 2007. This is a graphic novel. I don't know how many people know about Gallipoli. They should know about it. This is where the term Anzac, Australian, New Zealand troops come from. It was a failed campaign on down attacking the Ottoman Empire that was planned by Winston Churchill and a couple other people. Winston Churchill actually was removed from the Admiralty because this made such a horrible mess.
What a stunning cover that is, too.
Yeah. So what this story is, the little boy here is his uncle is a Turkish general, and he somehow goes to visit his uncle because his father's disappeared because of the war. His uncle says, "You shouldn't be here." The attack happens. He gets separated, and he's found by an Australian soldier, and he keeps him in his dugout in the trenches.
Oh.
And it's the story of that relationship in those trenches, and then eventually the soldiers they have to retreat. It's almost a year in the trenches. Thousands of men are killed. The only group in this initial attack that got to their objectives was the Indian contingent, and they had to pull back because their flanks were exposed. It was just it was a mess, the whole Gallipoli. So to the point where Australia and New Zealand, they do celebrate Armistice Day, but they actually celebrate April 25th as Anzac Day, because that's when they landed at Gallipoli.
Oh.
And if you ever talk to anyone from there who knows the history, that's their moment of nation building. What they went through in the trenches on that peninsula. It was just terrific. It's a good little read. It's by Timeline Publishing. It's just a neat little story from 2002. So, Garth Ennis. If you want to read another book, that series, this is a book by Garth Ennis. There's 4 issues of this. The Lion and the Eagle. This is about the Shindits that were parachuted and they were landed in behind Japanese lines on Burma. This story does not hold back.
Okay.
Great cover.
This is an amazing story. You get to understand the British Army. As you can see, the Indian Army played a huge role in the East and other places. And they don't hold back from the horrors of that campaign. This one shows the Gurkhas that were part of that contingent. A lot of people don't understand it. The Gurkhas, they still have one of the few regiments that can go, are the King's Guards, and they go to the palace once a year and guard. The Gurkha contingent won 9 Victoria Crosses in World War II. which is the equivalent to your highest Medal of Honor for soldiers. This is a fantastic read by Garth Ennis. Does not hold back. Shows the horrors of war. Shows what you have to do. Shows the sacrifice. Shows the. It's just one of those incredible reads by Garth Ennis. I can't say enough about that. Okay, 4. I'm down to 4. So you guys are going to sleep. Ready? I've talked about this one before. This one you should read. This is an amazing book. We spoke out. This is about the comics and the Holocaust. They were printed out. This is by Neil Adams, Madoff, Craig Yo, Stan Lee. If you can get your hands on this, this came out in 2018. Just an amazing book. I was very fortunate, as Joe has mentioned before. I bought this from Neil Adams himself.
Oh, wow.
Or Mark.
Yep.
Wow.
Personalized too.
Personalized, an amazing read. It's highly recommended if you want to see cool stuff. Again, Garth Ennis, Out of the Blue. This one is 2019. Keith Burns, an amazing story about the British and the mosquitoes and the anti-shipping in the English Channel. Does not hold back. It goes as close to what really went on as possible. Also 2022, Battle Action, which is a British publication written by Garth Ennis.
Wow.
These are
I
hard.
didn't realize he wrote all those war-related books.
So many of them, and they're so well written. Just amazing books. They don't hold back. Well worth the read. The artwork is amazing. And for my very last one, this book is near and dear to my heart. It's from McGill Publishing. This is called Through Their Eyes. This is a graphic novel about the Canadian First Army in World War II on Hill 70.
Ooh, that's a big book. Oh,
it's a big book, and the artwork is amazing, and it hits you in the gut. So I show you that page.
Dog tags.
Those are the dog tags covered in blood.
Wow.
Yeah,
this again for a graphic novel showing you World War I. The other thing about this book that is so amazing is they go through parts of it. It's from the perspective of the generals, perspectives of the planners, perspectives of the men in the trenches. Some survived and some didn't, and just their stories. They also do they do one story in here about one of the guys who won a Victoria Cross. If I can just find it, but I can't. Anyway, it's, again, I highly recommend this book if you're interested in Canadian history of World War I and you love graphic novels. Amazing book, well worth a read. Great way to learn some history about the attack on Hill 70, which was one of our bloodiest. But we held the line and did what we had to do.
Wow.
Very nice.
So very nice, Mark.
That's hopefully that spanned and shown the changes from when they first were coming out to what, I mean, from the 1950 Fiend Punch cartoons that were humor, sarcastic humor, to the end where you have an incredible graphic that shows bloody dog tags of 18-year-old boys in the trenches of World War I. Just through comic history is, people say, oh, it's just a comic. It's not. You can learn so much, and you see what's going on. Actually, as Joe so articulately put it, those comics that were written at the time when those things were happening, they were written that way because that's things were happening right then. And then some of them are written reflecting back and can be more honest. Some were too honest. Some caused controversy, but war comics have been around since we've ever had comics, and you can still buy comics about war today. They're not going away. And the people who wrote them, some of those stories are amazing. Some of those stories are horrible. Like, the stories of soldiers fighting dinosaurs. I'm really not sure where DC was going with that, but I hope that was
Mark, that was just a curated reflection of war in media through the ages. That was amazing.
Thanks.
But Gary, I mean, where's the spec book? I mean, I don't understand.
It's not the 1011.
Yeah. Yeah, it didn't say.
I didn't look. How do you?
Yeah, but spec book. Oh, the new
Right.
war coming near you.
Yeah, the new more coming near you. Well,
Yeah,
But
a few of them.
that was amazing, Mark. And I mean, just reaffirming that you were the right choice for this, dude. Just your knowledge, your passion for it, your knowledge of history, the way you present the books, absolutely top tier and amazing.
Yep.
It's almost like you do this stuff for a living.
I don't.
No, that was great stuff. And wow. And we're going to take a moment here.
100-1-1.
Right. And we're going to bring this back up. And just so people can see a snapshot of it again, if you're watching this or catching us on the rewind, these are, of course, links shared, information shared by X11Bravo on Instagram. Please go follow him. He is an amazing person and a great Instagram account. Here is slide 1. Here is slide 2. You can pause your screen, watch us on the big screen if you got it at home, and take the information down, or you can simply go in our description below and get all this. And if you're a vet, there's some great resources here. If you need further information and more knowledge, someone that's way better at it than me, again, X11Bravo, go follow him on IG. The man's amazing. He can help, and he is just an incredible resource as well as an incredible person. So, again, go check that out, and we're going to remove that. And we're not going to do our normal go around and see what everyone's got coming up, because that's not what this show is about. This show was about remembrance, and it was about honoring the people that have fought and given us our liberty today. So all I'm going to simply do to end the show is say thank you to my co-hosts, Joe and Steve. Thank you, gents. It was an absolute pleasure having you along. Great co-host for an incredible show. A really big special thank you to Mark Andrews, because when I figured out I wanted to do this, especially with Veterans Day falling on the Tuesday, and I just knew it had to be Mark. Mark graciously accepted right away. Didn't have to twist his arm or fight him or anything. So thank you, Mark. Always a pleasure, sir.
You don't want to fight Mark. He's like 10'3".
Right. And of course, to the audience that was here tonight, thank you guys so much for being here. For all of you in the audience that shared remembrance of someone from your family or friends or past that served, thank you guys for sharing that as well. And again, for those of you catching on the rewind, yes, this is our hobby. But just because we have a hobby that deals with comics doesn't mean that we can't thank the people that served us through this hobby. All right, everything that we get to experience and have today is because of the effort of these people. And we just want to thank all our veterans. And you guys have anything to say in closing? Any of you?
Just thank you. And remember to say their name, those that have lost, because that makes them real still. You will hear that from every veteran. So I always say their name.
Right. You have to stop and think sometimes. And we're so busy or doing different things that we don't stop and think, whether it's Canada, the United States, how fortunate we are, to live in countries like this. And we're only so fortunate because of the people with no questions asked that went to fight, to keep our freedom, and our liberty. And we just don't think about it often enough.
Right. Or as some of those covers depicted, people that had to do things that didn't necessarily agree with them on a personal level, but they did the job.
They did the job. Thank you for this, Gary. This is very appreciated.
You guys made the show, not me. Thank you guys for being here. I appreciate it. And again, one more time, thank you to all our veterans. Everyone have a great night. And we're going to end this as we end all of them. We're going to say thank you so much for watching. And until next time, keep it casual.